A few years ago, if you followed the fitness industry, you probably heard some version of this story. Planet Fitness makes money because you don't show up. Cheap membership, hard to cancel, betting on people who sign up and quietly disappear. Except, that story might not hold up anymore. The company just raised its price by 50%. It's now promoting cancel anytime, and it's telling investors that member engagement just hit a 5-year high. So which is it? Did the business actually change, or did it just get better at telling the story? Quick recap. For anyone who hasn't heard this part, Planet Fitness didn't start out chasing serious gym goers. It built its entire model around the other 80% of Americans, people who felt too intimidated, too out of shape, or too unmotivated to walk into a normal gym. $10 a month, no commitment. A brand built on making people feel comfortable, not judged. For years, it even had a literal alarm, the lunk alarm designed to push out the intimidating gym culture crowd and keep the space feeling welcoming for everyone else. Interesting footnote, a lot of newer locations aren't even installing it anymore. The brand does the filtering on its own now. That part of the story hasn't changed. What's changed is what came next. In June 2024, Planet Fitness did something it hadn't done in 26 years. It raised its price. New members now pay $15 a month instead of $10. And here's the test of whether that $10 price was ever really about accessibility or just about customer acquisition. Existing members got grandfathered in at the old rate, new customers pay more. The first full year after that price hike, the company added 1.1 million net new members, brought in $1.3 billion in revenue, and posted a 41.3% adjusted EBITDA margin, a number most consumer businesses would consider extraordinary. The CEO's own words, the growth, quote, highlights the incredible demand for our brand. In other words, even after a 50% price hike, more people signed up than ever. That's either a remarkably resilient brand or evidence that the original $10 price was never the main driver of demand in the first place. So let's look at the number the company itself is proud of. Member engagement at a 5-year high, averaging 6.7 visits per member per month. That's a real number from a real earnings call. We're not disputing that it was said, but notice what's missing. The company tells us the average visits among the members, it's counting. It doesn't tell us what percentage of the 20.8 million total members are actually being counted in that average or what percentage show up 0 times a month. Those are two very different statistics, and only one of them makes for a good headline. We looked for a current official breakdown of total membership visit rates, the kind of number the company used to discuss years ago. As of this recording, we couldn't find one in the most recent public filings. If that specific number has been published somewhere recently, we couldn't independently verify it, and we're not going to guess. What about cancel anytime, the feature the company now promotes? Here's the company's own framing from a recent earnings call. Making cancellation easier is, quote, the right thing for member experience and de-risking. De-risking, that's a specific word. It suggests this wasn't purely a goodwill gesture, it was also about getting ahead of regulation. The FTC has spent years pushing a click-to-cancel rule, requiring companies to make cancellation as easy as sign-up. The company's own executive said it plainly, move early, and the playing field evens once everyone else is forced to do the same thing. That doesn't mean easier cancellation isn't a real improvement for members. It is. But it's worth knowing whether a company changed because it wanted to or because the alternative was a regulator changing it for them. Here's one number that's actually harder to spin, rejoin rate. The CEO put it at mid-30%, meaning roughly a third of members who cancel end up coming back later. This one's interesting because, unlike the visit rate numbers, it doesn't hide the fact that people cancel in the first place. It just reframes what happens after. A gym that keeps growing, even as a third of its canceled members quietly return, isn't necessarily lying to you. It's just built a subscription model resilient enough that cancellation was never really the end of the relationship. So, did the story change? Some of it, genuinely, yes. The price now better reflects what a fitness brand at this scale actually costs to run. Cancellation is measurably easier than it used to be. But notice what the company chose to make public and what it didn't. It told us average visits went up. It didn't tell us what share of members still show up 0 times. It told us cancellation got easier. It also told its own investors that doing so early was a competitive advantage against regulation. None of that makes Planet Fitness dishonest. It makes it a company that, like most companies, tells you the version of its own story that makes the stock look good. The business got better at a few real things. It also got better at telling you about them. If you've ever taken a company's press release at face value, you already know how easy it is to only hear the good half of the story. Subscribe for more stories about the industries quietly profiting off the things you never actually asked for.